There's a reason some people consistently achieve their goals while others struggle to stay on track. It's not because they have more talent, luck, or even more time in a day. It's because they've built habits. Small, intentional actions repeated over time that make success inevitable. Highly effective people don't just do things, they know why they do them. Their actions are driven by purpose, not pressure. When challenges arise, they don't ask, "Can I do this?" Instead, they ask, "Why does this matter?" That's what keeps them going when motivation fades. Motivation feels great, but it's unreliable. Discipline is the real game changer. Effective people don't wait to feel inspired. They commit to showing up every single day. They don't let emotions dictate their actions. They let their commitments shape their future. The world is constantly changing, and highly effective people refuse to stay the same. They are students of life, always seeking knowledge, always asking questions. They don't fear failure because they see it as feedback, not defeat. No one succeeds alone. The most effective people surround themselves with those who challenge, inspire, and support them. They invest in relationships, knowing that success isn't just about what you achieve, it's about who you become in the process. Waiting for the perfect moment is the fastest way to get stuck. Highly effective people understand that action beats inaction every time. They move forward even when the path isn't clear. They learn, adjust, and keep going. Truly successful people don't ask, "What can I get?" They ask, "What can I give?" They focus on impact, not applause. The greatest leaders, the most effective individuals, are those who put others before themselves. Time management is a myth if you don't have the energy to execute. Highly effective people prioritize rest, exercise, and self-care because they know that peak performance requires a full tank. Challenges are inevitable. What separates the effective from the overwhelmed is their response. They don't react emotionally, they respond strategically. They pause, assess, and act with intention. Fear is always present when making big decisions. But highly effective people don't let fear lead. They trust their instincts, seek wisdom, and make bold choices even when uncertainty is high. Excellence isn't built in a day, it's built daily. The best don't sprint towards success. They walk there step by step, habit by habit. The small things they do consistently are what make them unstoppable. There's something powerful about waking up every morning with a sense of direction. It's the difference between those who drift through life, reacting to whatever comes their way, and those who wake up with intention, knowing exactly why they do what they do. The most effective people don't just set goals, they anchor their actions in a deeper purpose. It's not about chasing success for the sake of it. It's about knowing the reason behind their work, their struggles, and their victories. Think about the people who inspire you. Maybe it's a leader, an entrepreneur, or even someone in your personal life who seems to navigate challenges with an unwavering sense of clarity. What makes them different? It's not that they have fewer obstacles. It's not even that they always have the right answers. It's that they have a reason, a purpose that fuels them. Without a clear why, even the most talented and hardworking individuals can feel lost. They might push through for a while, relying on willpower, external validation, but eventually they hit a wall. They burn out, they lose motivation, because when things get tough, when the excitement wears off, and when the results don't come as quickly as expected, only one thing keeps people going. A deeply ingrained reason that is bigger than the challenge itself. Imagine two people climbing a mountain. One is doing it because they think it's what they're supposed to do. Maybe someone told them it would look good on their resume or impress their peers. The other is climbing because they have a deep personal reason. Maybe they promised themselves they'd conquer this peak to honor a loved one or to prove to themselves that they can overcome adversity. Now, when both of them hit a difficult stretch, when their legs ache and the air gets thinner, who do you think is more likely to keep going? It's not the one relying on external motivation. It's the one who has a purpose that transcends the temporary discomfort. That's how highly effective people operate in every aspect of life. They don't just work hard because they have to. They work hard because they are connected to something meaningful. Their why is their internal compass. It guides their decisions, their priorities, and their ability to stay resilient in the face of setbacks. When you have a strong why, discipline becomes easier. You don't have to force yourself to show up. You want to. You don't see obstacles as reasons to quit. You see them as part of the journey. That's the difference between someone who dreads Monday mornings and someone who wakes up excited to tackle another week. And here's the interesting part. Your why doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. And it just has to matter to you. Some people find their purpose in creating and innovating and leading. Others find it in helping and serving and making a difference in their community. The size of your purpose doesn't matter. What matters is that it's real, that it means something to you. Too often people chase goals without understanding why they set them in the first place. They follow a path laid out by society, by their parents, by expectations that were never truly their own. They achieve things yet still feel empty. They check all the right boxes yet still wonder, is this it? Because without purpose, even success can feel hollow. Highly effective people take the time to reflect on what really drives them. They ask themselves the tough questions. What impact do I want to make? What do I stand for? What kind of life do I want to build? And once they find that answer, they align their actions with it. Think about some of the most successful companies in the world. The ones that thrive aren't just selling products. They are driven by a purpose bigger than profit. The best brands connect with people because they stand for something. They have a mission that goes beyond just making money. The same is true for individuals. People who are deeply connected to their why don't just go through the motions. They create meaning in everything they do. There will always be distractions. There will always be reasons to quit, to settle, to take the easier path. But when you know why you started in the first place, quitting doesn't feel like an option. You push forward not because someone else expects you to, but because you expect it of yourself. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting for their why to appear magically. They think one day they'll wake up and suddenly have clarity. But purpose isn't something you find, it's something you create. It's something you uncover through action, through exploration, through trial and error. It's built through experiences, through moments of struggle, through deep reflection. For some, their why comes from personal experiences, perhaps overcoming a difficult past or wanting to provide a better future for their family. For others, it's sparked by curiosity, by an idea that excites them so much they can't ignore it. And sometimes it's born from frustration, from seeing a problem in the world and feeling an undeniable urge to fix it. Whatever it is, once you find it, everything changes. Your decisions become clearer, your motivation becomes more sustainable, and the way you approach challenges shifts entirely. Because when you know why you're doing something, you stop needing external validation. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop chasing success just for the sake of it. Instead, you move with confidence, with direction, with a sense of fulfillment that no achievement alone can give you. So if you ever feel stuck, if you ever find yourself questioning whether you're on the right path, take a step back and ask yourself, why am I doing this? And if the answer isn't clear, don't panic. Start exploring, start paying attention to the things that excite you, that challenge you, that make you come alive. Because once you find your why, you won't just be effective, you'll be unstoppable. Motivation is one of the most misunderstood concepts when it comes to success. People talk about it as if it's the key to everything. If you're motivated, you'll succeed. If you're not, you'll fail. But that's not how it works. Motivation is a temporary feeling. It comes and goes, often dependent on external factors like excitement, mood, or environment. It's easy to feel motivated when things are going well, when you're inspired, when the results are coming in. But what happens when you don't feel like doing the work? What happens when you wake up tired, uninspired, or discouraged? That's when most people quit. But the highly effective don't rely on motivation, they rely on discipline. Discipline is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who only dream about them. It's the ability to show up and do the work regardless of how you feel. It's about creating habits that make success inevitable rather than waiting for inspiration to strike. The most effective people in any field, from athletes to entrepreneurs to artists, don't rely on the rush of motivation to keep them going. They build systems. They create routines. They train themselves to take action even when they don't feel like it. Think about the last time you felt highly motivated. Maybe you listened to an inspiring speech, read a book that fired you up, or watched a video that made you feel like you could take on the world. In that moment, you probably felt unstoppable. But how long did that feeling last? A day, a week, maybe even just a few hours? The problem isn't that motivation is bad, it's that it's unreliable. It's like the fuel in a car that burns quickly and needs constant refilling. Discipline, on the other hand, is the engine itself. Once built, it keeps going no matter what. One of the biggest misconceptions about discipline is that it's something people are born with, that some individuals are naturally more disciplined than others. But that's not true. Discipline is a skill. And like any skill, it can be developed. The highly effective understand that discipline isn't about forcing yourself to suffer through tasks you hate. It's about training your mind and body to follow through on your commitments, even when it's inconvenient. Think about an elite athlete. They don't wake up every morning excited to train. There are days when they're exhausted, when they don't feel like pushing their limits, when they'd rather stay in bed, but they do it anyway. Not because they feel like it, but because they've trained themselves to prioritize action over emotion. They understand that success isn't about doing what's easy, it's about doing what's necessary. The same principle applies to every area of life. If you want to be healthier, it's not about waiting until you feel like eating better or exercising. It's about building the habit of doing it consistently, even when you don't want to. If you want to be more productive, it's not about waiting until you're in the mood to work. It's about setting up routines that make focus and execution a natural part of your day. Most people think they lack motivation, when in reality, they lack discipline. They say things like, I just can't stay motivated, or I lose interest too quickly. But the real issue is that they haven't trained themselves to take action regardless of how they feel. The highly effective don't ask themselves, do I feel like doing this today? They simply do it. They treat their goals like non-negotiables. Discipline is built through repetition. It starts with small decisions, choosing to wake up when you said you would, following through on a commitment even when it's inconvenient, completing a task even when you're not in the mood. Over time, these small acts add up. They become habits. And once something is a habit, it no longer requires motivation. It becomes automatic. This is why the most effective people are obsessed with systems. They know that relying on willpower alone is a losing strategy. Willpower is finite. It runs out. But systems create consistency. A writer doesn't wait until they feel inspired to write. They set a schedule and stick to it. A successful entrepreneur doesn't wait until they feel energized to work on their business. They follow their process day in and day out. The biggest challenge most people face is not starting, it's staying consistent. They get excited about a new goal, put in effort for a few days or weeks, and then slowly fade out when the excitement wears off. This is because they were relying on motivation instead of discipline. The highly effective avoid this trap by committing to consistency over intensity. They understand that doing something small every day is more powerful than doing something big once in a while. There's an old saying, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Highly effective people don't just set goals, they build habits and routines that make achieving those goals inevitable. If you want to read more books, create a system where reading becomes part of your daily routine. If you want to get in shape, set up a plan where working out is as automatic as brushing your teeth. The more you remove the decision-making process, the easier it becomes to stay disciplined. The secret to discipline isn't about forcing yourself to suffer. It's about making the right actions as easy as possible. This means eliminating distractions, creating an environment that supports your goals, and surrounding yourself with people who push you to be better. It means understanding that success isn't about how you feel in the moment. It's about what you commit to consistently. When you truly grasp this, everything changes. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop making excuses. You stop seeing challenges as reasons to quit. Instead, you develop the mindset that action is non-negotiable. You show up, you put in the work, and you build a level of discipline that makes success inevitable. At the end of the day, motivation is nice, but discipline is what changes lives. It's what separates those who wish for success from those who achieve it. The question is, which one will you rely on? Because the answer to that will determine everything. Heading ChatGPT said, the world is constantly changing, and those who refuse to change with it are the ones who get left behind. Highly effective people understand that the ability to learn, adapt, and evolve is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. They don't cling to outdated ideas or resist new ways of thinking. Instead, they approach life with an open mind, constantly seeking new knowledge, embracing feedback, and refining their approach. The mistake many people make is believing that intelligence or talent is fixed. They assume that the skills and knowledge they have today will be enough to carry them forward. But the truth is, what got you here won't get you there. The world rewards those who are willing to grow, who see every experience as an opportunity to improve. Think about the most successful individuals in any field. Whether it's business, sports, or the arts, the people at the top are never satisfied with what they already know. They push themselves to learn more, to experiment, to question their own assumptions. They don't just consume information, they apply it, they take risks, they fail, they adjust, and they keep moving forward. Failure is not something they fear, it's something they expect, because to learn and grow, you have to be willing to make mistakes. Most people are terrified of failure. They see it as a reflection of their worth, as proof that they're not good enough. But the highly effective see failure differently. They understand that every mistake is a lesson, that every setback contains valuable feedback. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, they ask themselves, what can I learn from this? How can I do better next time? This mindset shift is what separates those who remain stuck from those who continue to evolve. If you're unwilling to embrace failure, you're also unwilling to embrace growth. Highly effective people are relentless learners because they know that knowledge alone isn't power, applied knowledge is. They don't just read books or listen to advice, they implement what they learn. They test new ideas, measure results, and refine their approach. One of the biggest roadblocks to learning and adapting is ego. When people believe they already have all the answers, they stop seeking new ones. They become defensive when challenged, unwilling to admit when they're wrong. But the most effective people aren't driven by the need to be right. They're driven by the need to get better. They surround themselves with people who challenge their thinking. They welcome constructive criticism not as an attack, but as a gift. Because they understand that true confidence isn't about pretending to know everything, it's about being willing to learn anything. Another crucial element of adaptation is the ability to pivot. Life rarely goes according to plan. Even the most well-thought-out strategies can fail when circumstances change. Highly effective people don't see obstacles as roadblocks, they see them as redirections. They don't waste time complaining when things don't go as expected. Instead, they ask themselves, what's the next best move? This ability to pivot is what allows them to stay ahead while others struggle to keep up. Think about companies that failed because they refused to adapt. Businesses that ignored shifting trends, clung to outdated models, and refused to innovate. Now compare them to those that thrived by evolving with the times. The difference wasn't talent, it wasn't resources, it was adaptability. Their willingness to change when change was necessary. On a personal level, adaptability is just as important. Many people hold on to old beliefs, habits, or routines long after they've stopped being effective. They resist change because it's uncomfortable, because it forces them into the unknown. But the highly effective don't resist change. They embrace it. They understand that growth only happens outside the comfort zone. It's easy to look at successful people and assume they always had everything figured out. But if you study their journeys, you'll find that most of them had to pivot multiple times. They failed, they adjusted, they kept learning. The difference is they never let failure define them. They let it refine them. The most powerful tool for continuous learning is curiosity. Effective people never stop asking questions. They aren't afraid to admit when they don't know something. In fact, they see it as an opportunity. They seek out new perspectives, new experiences, and new challenges. They don't just wait for knowledge to come to them, they actively pursue it. This curiosity fuels their ability to adapt. Because when you're always learning, you're always growing. When you're always growing, you're always evolving. And when you're always evolving, you never get stuck. But learning and adapting don't happen by accident. They require intention. Highly effective people don't leave their growth to chance. They make it a habit. They read, they listen, they observe, they invest in themselves, knowing that the more they learn, the more they can contribute. They also know that adapting isn't just about acquiring new knowledge, it's about unlearning old limitation. Many people are held back not by what they don't know, but by what they think they know that isn't true. Outdated beliefs, limiting mindsets, and old fears can keep someone trapped, even if new opportunities are right in front of them. The highly effective are willing to challenge their own thinking, to question what they once believed to be true, and to let go of anything that no longer serves them. This is why growth is a never-ending process. It's not something you achieve once and then stop. It's a lifelong commitment to becoming better, to staying open, to remaining adaptable, no matter what life throws your way. Highly effective people don't just survive change, they thrive in it. Because they understand that the ability to learn, adapt, and evolve isn't optional. It's the foundation of success. It's the reason they never get stuck, never become obsolete, never lose momentum. So the real question isn't whether or not you're capable of adapting. The real question is, are you willing? Are you willing to let go of the need to always be right? Are you willing to embrace failure as part of the learning process? Are you willing to challenge your own beliefs, to seek out new knowledge, to push yourself beyond what's comfortable? Because the answer to those questions will determine everything. The world is going to change whether you like it or not. The only choice you have is whether you'll change with it or be left behind. Time is the one resource we can never get back. Money, opportunities, even energy, these things can be replenished. But time moves in one direction, and once it's gone forever. Highly effective people understand this at a deep level. They don't just try to manage their time, they master it. They are intentional about how they spend every minute, making sure that their actions align with their goals and values. Most people go through life reacting to whatever demands their attention. They start the day with good intentions, but quickly get pulled into distractions, interruptions, and obligations that don't serve them. By the end of the day, they wonder where all the time went. They feel busy but not productive. They feel exhausted but not accomplished. Highly effective people don't let this happen. They don't let their days be dictated by other people's priorities. They take control of their schedule and make sure that the things that truly matter come first. The biggest difference between those who succeed and those who struggle isn't intelligence, talent, or even hard work. It's focus. The ability to direct your energy toward what truly matters is what sets apart the highly effective from the constantly overwhelmed. But focus isn't something that just happens. It has to be built, protected, and strengthened every single day. One of the biggest traps people fall into is mistaking activity for progress.